Power does not punish the ruthless. It rewards them. Look closely at the world. Those who rise fastest are rarely the ones who play fair. They smile and shake hands, but behind the gestures, they calculate. They use kindness as a mask. They speak of principles while preparing their next move. You, however, were taught to fight with rules. You were told fairness makes you honorable, but fairness is a leash. It keeps you predictable, while others, less skilled, less deserving, move ahead because they are unrestrained. Machiavelli recognized this centuries ago. He wrote for leaders surrounded by enemies, men who could not afford hesitation. He showed them how to bend loyalty, how to turn virtue into a weapon, how to secure victory without apology. Those lessons are not outdated. They are timeless. This is not about cruelty for its own sake. It is about survival. It is about refusing to let another person's morality decide your outcome. The world respects results, nothing else. So stop asking what is fair. Start asking what works. Because if you do not claim what is yours, someone weaker but bolder will. You've been trained to believe strength lies in fairness, that decency will eventually be rewarded. But history tells a colder story. Every empire, dynasty, and corporation that dominates today was built not on fair play, but on advantages taken without hesitation. Power is not a debate. It is not won by following rules. It is a quiet war where only those willing to act when others won't survive. The world does not reward virtue. It rewards leverage. And leverage is rarely gained by being agreeable. Think of those who surpass you in life. They are not always smarter, stronger, or more disciplined, but they possess one trait you avoid: the readiness to cut ties, to move without delay, to value results over reputation. While you hesitate, wondering if something is right, they have already acted, and when the dust settles, no one recalls who played fair. They only recall who prevailed. Machiavelli warned rulers never to rely on the goodness of others. Humans are driven by fear, greed, and ambition. Even those who appear noble serve their own interests first. If you refuse to accept this, you will be blindsided repeatedly. Ruthlessness is not mindless cruelty. It is discipline. It is clarity. It is doing what is necessary without being paralyzed by guilt or hesitation. A ruler who avoids ruthlessness is not merciful. He is weak, and weakness in power is punished swiftly. The first step is facing a hard truth. Fairness is a myth used to keep you compliant. Look at workplaces, governments, or battlefields. Do the honest and generous reach the top, or are they used, discarded, and forgotten while the cold and decisive rise? Stop deceiving yourself. Stop believing the world respects those who follow rules they did not write. If you want freedom, if you want to command instead of serve, you must abandon the belief that people will treat you as you treat them. They will not. When you stop expecting fairness, betrayal no longer surprises you. You stop wasting energy on outrage and start preparing. That is the first weapon of the ruthless, seeing reality, without illusions, without sentiment. This is not villainy. You do not need to be openly cruel. In fact, the strongest power is quiet, unseen. You do not announce ruthlessness. You simply act while others hesitate. You choose decisive action over endless moral questioning. You strike when needed and smile when it suits you. From now on, your question must change. Stop asking, "How can I win?" while staying good, and start asking, "How can I win?" Period. Morality is a luxury for those who already hold power. For everyone else, it is a cage. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But he also understood, fear does not mean open terror. It means respect. Respect built on the certainty that you will do what is necessary. That is what ruthlessness creates. Not chaos, but authority. History is full of men who tried to succeed by being good. They believed decency would shield them. They assumed that if they harmed no one, they would be unharmed. But the world does not operate on moral balance. It operates on power, and power follows boldness, not goodness. Look around. Those who advance fastest are rarely the most virtuous. They are the ones who move without pause, who refuse to ask permission, who act as if their success is inevitable. This is the great truth of power. People believe in certainty. Even lies appear as truth when spoken with authority. Even weakness seems like strength when carried with confidence. That is why Machiavelli warned leaders never to depend on a reputation for kindness. A reputation for kindness attracts predators. They know you will hesitate to strike back. They know you fear being seen as cruel. That hesitation is fatal. The ruthless do not succeed because they are stronger or wiser. They succeed because they do not delay. Where you weigh options, they take opportunities. Where you hope to be liked, they demand obedience. Consider Cesare Borgia, the man Machiavelli admired most. Borgia's power was not built on fairness. It was built on calculated force. He removed rivals with precision. He staged acts of justice so decisive that no one dared betray him twice. Yet to the people, he appeared as a savior. They did not see the blade behind the smile. They only saw results. That is the paradox of ruthlessness. When used correctly, it does not look like ruthlessness at all. It looks like strength. It looks like leadership. People crave order, and they will follow the one who provides it, no matter what he had to do to achieve it. But boldness alone is not enough. Unfocused aggression burns hot and quickly fades. Machiavellian ruthlessness is calculated. It selects targets carefully, knowing when to strike and when to stop. The goal is not to destroy everyone. It is to ensure no one can destroy you. Ask yourself now, who benefits from your hesitation? Who advances while you remain still, paralyzed by the thought? What will people think? Those people do not carry such doubts. They understand the game. They know how to turn your conscience into a weapon against you. You can remain their victim, or you can step into the arena on their terms. This is not cruelty for its own sake. It is refusing to let outdated ideas of fairness keep you from what you deserve. Do not mistake this for arrogance. True ruthlessness is never loud. It does not announce itself. It moves like a shadow, quiet, precise, unseen, until the work is done. By the time others notice, you are already beyond their reach. The lesson is clear. Stop performing goodness in the hope of reward. The world does not award effort. It follows those who decide quickly and act without flinching. Speak with confidence, move with speed, and never apologize for ambition. When people sense you are willing to do what they will not, they stop competing with you and start fearing you. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved. Not because fear is greater, but because it keeps opponents honest. A man who fears you will hesitate to betray you. A man who merely loves you may abandon you, the moment love becomes inconvenient. Power consolidates not through kindness, but through respect. And respect grows from boldness, not goodness. There is danger in trying to be endlessly fair, endlessly kind, endlessly forgiving. It may appear noble, but it makes you predictable, weak, and safe to attack. In the game of power, hesitation is blood in the water, and predators will circle. Machiavelli warned that cruelty, when used correctly, is not a vice, but a necessity. The key is not constant savagery, but precision. The weak man lashes out wildly, striking everyone in anger. The strong man is patient. He waits, observes, and chooses carefully. When he acts, the blow is sharp, absolute, and leaves no space for challenge. Strategic cruelty is not endless violence. It is concentrated action. a single, decisive strike that removes the threat permanently. History is full of leaders who failed because they tried to appease enemies rather than end them. They spared rivals who later returned stronger. They punished lightly, creating resentment without fear. They showed mercy at the wrong time, and cruelty only when it was too late. Mercy is admirable, but only when you already hold complete control. Otherwise, it is an open invitation to betrayal. When someone challenges you directly, never respond with half measures. Do not wound an enemy, eliminate them. A rival who survives becomes bitter, patient, and determined to see you fall. It is far better to finish the matter decisively and set an example so strong that others hesitate before testing you. Cold resolve protects you more than 1,000 polite gestures. But cruelty must always be intelligent, never emotional. If you punish in anger, you make mistakes. If you strike from fear, you reveal weakness. Strategic cruelty is about control, not rage. You act not from impulse, but because one decisive move prevents 10 future problems. In life, this principle applies in smaller, practical ways. Cut off toxic people completely. Instead of tolerating them, remove the employee who undermines you instead of issuing endless warnings. End betrayal so thoroughly that no one dares repeat it. One clean break speaks louder than a dozen petty retaliations. When others see that you act decisively, that you can be cold when needed, they treat you with caution. Your reputation does most of the work for you. People hesitate before crossing someone unafraid of hard choices. And ironically, this means you will use cruelty less often. Like a drawn sword, its very presence keeps the peace. The greatest rulers in history were not those who avoided cruelty entirely. They were those who used it once, at the right time, in the right way, and then ruled in stability because no one wanted to provoke them again. They understood that power requires both a velvet glove and an iron fist. But the fist must be real, not symbolic. In seeking strength, stop trying to win approval with endless fairness. The masses do not respect those who are always agreeable. They respect those strong enough to enforce their will. Your task is not to be loved. It is to be feared just enough that love becomes optional. Strike rarely. Strike decisively. And when you strike, do it so completely that the enemy cannot rise again. This is not brutality. It is discipline, efficiency, and survival. Mercy has its place, but only when it costs you nothing. Power is not only in what you do, it also lives in what others believe about what you do. If you control the story, you control reality. Kings have fallen not because they were weak, but because they allowed enemies to spread the tale of their weakness first. The masses rarely see truth itself. They see the version of truth told earliest, told loudest, and repeated without challenge. This is why true operators do more than act. They narrate their actions before anyone else can. They frame betrayal as loyalty, conquest as defense, and ambition as duty. The timid believe actions speak for themselves. They do not. Actions are silent until words give them meaning. Defeat a rival without framing it, and you appear as a tyrant. Frame it as justice, and the crowd will applaud while your enemy falls. Rulers throughout history mastered this art. They staged generosity while quietly seizing wealth. They preached peace while sharpening swords. By shaping the narrative, they made their power seem natural, even righteous. When power feels inevitable, resistance dies before it begins. A Machiavellian understands this. Narrative is armor. It shields you while you make moves others would call immoral. Lies are clumsy weapons. Narratives are powerful. They bend perception so completely that even the truth can look false. Do not deny your schemes. Bury them inside a larger story. People will always believe what appeals to their hopes and fears. Hand them a script, and they will repeat it for you. This control is not won by shouting the loudest, but by planting the story early, whispering it to the right people, and letting it spread until it feels like it came from the crowd itself. The most effective narrative is the one with no clear author. If no one can trace it to you, they cannot fight it. Enemies will try to expose you, let them. If your story is strong, their warnings will sound paranoid, even unstable. You don't defeat their accusations with counterarguments. You defeat them with ridicule and doubt. Turn their truth into a joke, and they will choke on their outrage. Do not only control how you are seen, control how your enemies are seen. Paint them as reckless before they act, greedy before they take, and cruel before they even move. Then, when they strike, the world will say, "We expected this." Their actions will confirm your story, not theirs. In this game, every move must carry a shadow, a carefully crafted explanation before it leaves your hand. If you allow others to define your actions, you have already lost half the battle. Power is not seized once. It must be maintained daily through perception. You may defeat one rival, but if the story casts you as dangerous to all, you will unite every enemy against you. Shape the narrative so your rise looks inevitable and resistance looks suicidal. Make your enemies fear public opinion more than they fear your strength. When you master narrative, you can retreat without looking weak. You can lose ground and convince the world it was your plan. You can betray allies and still have them thank you for the lesson. You can do anything if you decide its meaning before anyone else can. Power doesn't belong to the one who makes the move. It belongs to the one who defines what that move costs. Most people scramble to control actions. Who says what, who does what, who goes where. The ruthless control the aftermath. They work in the shadows, shaping rewards, punishments, and stories that follow. When you master consequences, you don't need to shout or demand loyalty. People avoid crossing you because they know the price is too high. History shows rulers did not maintain order by preventing rebellion, but by making rebellion unthinkable. Machiavelli wrote that fear is more reliable than love because fear depends on punishment, and punishment depends on you. If you can decide whether an enemy's attack ruins him or elevates him, you already hold the upper hand. If you decide whether a friend's betrayal ends in forgiveness or public destruction, you hold total control. The weak fight on the surface, trading blow for blow, desperate to control events as they happen. The powerful don't care about the strike itself. They are already planning the outcome, whether the attacker will be celebrated as a hero or condemned as a criminal. To dominate, build a system where every path leads back to you. If someone helps you, the reward must flow through you. If someone harms you, the punishment must come from you. Never outsource justice to chance or chaos. Never let others write the ending of your conflicts. Look at how empires operated. Rome did not simply defeat its enemies in battle. It destroyed their fields, erased their names, and rewrote history until they barely existed. The punishment was not a moment of pain, but a permanent warning carved into memory. Think the same way. Do not measure wins and losses. Measure the lasting impression of what happens when someone challenges you. To achieve this, you must remain emotionally detached. Never react in anger. A fool strikes back impulsively, making the cost of defiance uncertain and therefore ignorable. A Machiavellian waits, calculates, and punishes in a way that destroys the enemy and teaches everyone else. One precise consequence can prevent 10 betrayals. This requires preparation. Quietly build leverage through secrets, debts, and obligations. Structure your relationships so others depend on your favor, not abstract loyalty. Then, when someone defies you, you don't need threats. You simply decide their fate with precision. Perhaps you let them sit in uncertainty for months. Perhaps you remove everything in one move. The point is not cruelty for its own sake. It is order. You decide what behavior survives and what behavior dies. When people realize you control consequences, they stop asking whether you are right or wrong. They simply step aside. Power stops being a debate and becomes a fact of nature. Just as no one argues with gravity, no one argues with a man who makes defiance too costly. At every step, ask yourself, if this person resists me, can I decide what happens to them? If not, you are still playing the surface game. If yes, you've entered the deeper game, the level where Machiavelli's princes ruled without raising their voices. Controlling consequences is not about appearing ruthless. It is about ensuring that every road leads back to you, and only you decide whether that road ends in reward or ruin. If you are ready to stop living as prey, sharpen your mind and become untouchable, stay with this channel. Every week, we examine the strategies that separate rulers from the ruled. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss a lesson. The world is not becoming softer. And if you do not learn to be ruthless, someone ruthless will learn to control you.